Hello and welcome back to Young Climber. We have returned once again with yet another inspirational story right here in the Kingdom of Eswatini. And in today's episode, we speak to educator, social entrepreneur, and most importantly, a community development advocate, which is of course Nomfundo Ngcamphalala, joining us to unpack her journey and she's been such a part of many interesting exchange programs, and today she is here to tell you maybe how you can be a part of that. Nomfundo, welcome to Young Climber.
Thank you so much, Velo. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and to share my story.
Indeed. You know, the best way to know you for us is always to just start from your roots. Can you just take us back to your childhood and what was it like growing up in rural Eswatini, and how did those experiences shape the person that you are today?
Well, growing up in a family of 8 kids, me being the 7th and the last girl out of 4, it was okay. You know, the setup of family, Christianity, so much religion, so you would be just there and not really there. Ukhona ngoba naku ukhona umphana lakhaya sibanengi, and we are coming with our differences. So but nje, the best of it all was that I was the last girl, hence my name Ndombekayise. So yeah.
And in your journey, looking back to those times, who has been your biggest influence, and what lessons did you learn from them that you carry out even in your work mainly today?
My biggest influencer, my late dad. I have always looked up to him, looking at how he had been growing up, and the way he raised us, and him being a church leader. So for us, for me, I was always like, I want to be like my dad. I want to have the compassion he has. I want to love people the way he loves people. So he has been and is still, as much as he isn't there, but he's still my role model.
That's very beautiful. But now we just need to backtrack to your schooling years, because I know there's always someone watching. Currently, can you take us through your primary, your high school, and just vivid moments that built your character during that time?
Funza Eswatini Williams, my grade 1 to grade 7, and then transitioned to St. Teresa's for my Form 1 to Form 5. Well, I was that girl that they had a name for me. But I was that girl that wouldn't be really noticed until I do something. So I started dancing, I started singing. So then, so growing up at St. Teresa's as a girl was awesome, and I am who I am because of St. Teresa's.
But then, you know, being the charismatic one, being the dancer, being the singer, one wouldn't have thought then you'd go and pursue, you know, education maybe. But maybe teaching is also a form of entertaining, you know, and commerce. Can you talk about those choices? What led you into making those choices? Was it, you know, because parents might say, hey, hambo funza involeto badala or something like that. But for you, what led you to making these specific choices?
Okay, well, my dad was a business person. So sikule ekhaya vele anakolo ukuthi he wants us to get into the business. So I had my role to get in as an accountant. So that actually led me to take my diploma in commerce and also my Bachelor of Commerce degree in accounting from the University of Eswatini. But as soon as I graduated for my degree, I had already started working as a teacher with my diploma. So I fell in love with teaching, especially in the rural areas. Hence, that led me to actually take my postgraduate certificate in education. So that is what actually kept me in teaching. I love teaching. I love teaching.
It explains the edupreneur title, because you took two things that people may think do not align and you made them one, which leads me to then asking, you know, as a teacher that was specializing in business studies and of course accounting, how did you then transition from the classroom to founding Umliba Loyambili Edupreneurs?
Well, with my background in accounting and also now my teaching profession, I actually realized that like you said, accounting umsebenzi wase-office and then teaching umsebenzi wase-classini. But then we are talking about entrepreneurship. You know, we're bringing in business. So why singathathi teaching siyende business? You know, so hence Umliba Loyambili Edupreneurs. We are now saying we're bringing education and making that business. Business in education.
Very, very interesting one. And now you are someone, you know, who advocates for the community. You're community development advocate. Was that passion born out of being in a classroom? Because obviously being around, you know, learners, that's where you build a community. Is that where that passion derived from?
Definitely. Ufundzisa emakhaya, ngifundzela edolobheni. But now ufundzisa emakhaya, you get to get the real experience of what is happening in the communities, the poverty and everything. So that actually, the whole thing, you know, man, there is a chance of development. There's great potential out there in the communities. So hence, I am advocating that young people, there is a lot out there, more than they ever think. So hence, being a community development advocate.
And if there's one thing that we often speak about here, because when we bring you here, obviously, we are glorifying the work that we do, but we also include the challenges, because and we want to bring the reality to the people. It won't be smooth sailing. You're not just looking at millionaires or people who have money. There's a certain process that you go through. And with you starting an organization, it's not even a business. Like, you're not expecting maybe any monetary returns. What challenges did you face, you know, starting the organization, and how did you then, in the long run, manage to overcome them?
Okay, so starting an organization, especially when you're a female, is still a challenge, and especially when you're a mother, you're a wife, you know, you have to juggle all that. But kakhulu kuba inzaba yama resources. Like you're saying, an organization, you're not expecting money, you're not expecting profit, you're all about impact. So now, to create that impact, you need resources. But through passion, through purpose, that has actually made us to get where we are today, without those resources, but still making that impact.
And now Umliba Loyambili Edupreneurs, you know, empowers the youth, women, and most importantly, persons with disabilities. What's the gap that you saw that made you realize that this specific initiative was very necessary?
Umliba Loyambili is about education and also occupying the digital space. So this education is getting listening. It's just a basic right. Everyone has access to it. When in real truth, not everybody has access, especially our people living with disabilities. And then through Umliba Loyambili, sibonile lokuthi le education uma ngabe ufuna ifike la lefuna ifike khona, one funa ibe equality. We are tackling SDG 4, which is quality education. So ukuze ikhona kufika le education leyo ibe equality, we need to digitalize it so that it can reach the most rural people, and bayithole in quality. Also, our disadvantaged communities, they don't have access to a lot of education, especially basic. So now through Umliba Loyambili, we are able to tailor-make lessons that can cater for them, and nabo ekugcineni bakhone kuphuma with their secondary school education.
You're doing such wonderful work, and obviously one of your standout projects is the online secondary school for out-of-school women and girls. Can you just, we like testimonies, because that's where, you know, we get to know the real life of the work that you do. What impact has it had, and can you just give us a testimony of a real life example that this program has helped someone with?
Okay, this program is basically, it was actually founded, we actually had a research at the beginning of the year where we were targeting security personnel, like Bogazi, and also domestic workers. Okay. So leyo data lesayitfola satfola vele ukuthi kunalenkinga ukuthi they're unable to complete their education. So we did the survey, we got the people. We currently have our class, which next year will be writing their Form 5. And one of them is a security guard. And she's doing so well. She's doing so well. She didn't believe she was good in math and sciences. She's actually the best in the class. We also have 2 ladies that are living with disabilities that are also part of the program. And every day they write back to me and say, you don't know what you have done in our lives. We see ourselves graduating. We see ourselves having better lives than we had. So for me, that is the utmost testimony.
Why am I getting chills? I just feel like, you know, that speaks to real impact and real action. You've really changed people's lives, but you've also gone above and beyond maybe what you thought you would in the initial beginning. Your organization also addresses sensitive issues, both GBV, suicide prevention. Can we talk about that and how you've managed to get the youth to have these difficult conversations?
Umlibalo Yembili ngalokuthi is founded on education. Education affects us in every way. It is affected in every way as well. So you would find ukuthi vele, as you share the stories of the young people and the women that we're bringing in, you find lokuthi okay, lomunye it's a result of GBV. Lomunye maybe so gewazama even is suicide. So when you bring in those stories, you hear the ladies talk about them, you hear the women talk about them, then we are dealing with young people as well. So Sibaleta Bong says, okay guys, asase kulumen, how do you think even the education that we're bringing can be a solution to these problems? So then we are able to bring in those people. We have round tables, we have webinars, and the young people come in their numbers and we get to have real talks. How can we work around this thing as Singemaswati?
You know, it's such an interesting program that carries so many interesting things. We actually need to talk about how people can be a part of this program, because I know that after this, so many people will be very interested to be a part of it. But right now, we'll take a short break. When we return, we talk about, you know, what got people talking. You left the country and you said IVLP is for me. You went to the United States. So we just talk about the journey around you being a part of the IVLP program and of course going to the USA, but that is only when we return. Hello and welcome back. If you just tuned in, you are tuned into Young Climber, and in today's episode we are joined by Nomfundo Ngcamphalala. We've been unpacking so much about Umlibalo Yembili, you know, and I've learned such interesting facts that could be useful to the citizens of Eswatini. But now we need to talk about your most recent representation of Eswatini at the International Visitor Leadership Program in the US. I always ask, that's the most important question. How did you become a part of the program? Where did you apply? Because when we say number says Central Tema Airport, but how Baba Ketanjani? I'm always like, Just open your eyes. But how did you become a part of the program?
Okay, I had previously, in 2023, I was part of the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs, which is a US government-sponsored program in Eswatini. And then through that, ngasebenda in trying to build that community, entrepreneurs and community work, inspire people and everything. And then through Umlibalo Mbili, then the US was able to actually start noticing me. Yeah. So I was using the corners, the American corners Manzini Gakulu for all our programs. And from nowhere, I got a call to actually say, you have been nominated for the IVLP, you're going to the States. Just like that. Just like that, no application. The IVLP is the only program where you are nominated. Yeah. Okay. So it's through the work we do.
And can we just talk about your experience of it all, going there, the cultural exchanges, what you learned and what you then brought back to your community, which is Eswatini?
The experience was awesome, eye-opening, especially because our program was looking at how to develop a workforce, youth. Yeah. So we visited like 5 different states. Yeah, 5 different states.
So you've been to 5 states out of 55 in America.
5. So basically the program was taking us to institutions from the government, the federal government, the state government, institutions, organizations, private organizations. Sibuka lokuthi benta kanjani bona ukuthi i-youth yabo bayi empowerishe in a way yokuthi ithi mayicetha skola ikhone kuba employable. So manning lama programs, what they do is that vele i-curriculum yabo iba intentional ekutheni ibafundzisa tintfo leti bavumela ukuthi bakhone kuyosebenza.
And there's one thing that you mentioned earlier on, being a wife, a mother, a community leader. How do you balance your personal life, with the demanding work in education and of course community development?
To be honest, balancing, sometimes you wake up and say, this is what I have for the day. But because of the different hats you're wearing, you need to be a mother, you need to be a wife, you need to be a teacher, you need to be a secretary, you need to be all that. More than anything, it's about priorities. For me, I'm not Nomfundo, but I'm Umlibalo Mbili. So everything is just around that. Wonga move long funago, don't feel like I'm Umlibalo Mbili. So the balance,
But I'm sure, being a leader also makes you a better mother. It all works together for good. True. That is what we always say. True. But as Nomfundo, what keeps you motivated? Because being a leader is so demanding. You need to, have a strong hold. What keeps you motivated during moments where you see challenges and you feel, just a slight bit overwhelmed?
I think for me, I'm Nomfundo, I am my name. The impact, I understand the power of education, and I've seen how it transforms Bamfu, how it brings hope. So at the end of the day, but then it's not about me. I am my name. So long as I live, I have to make sure so seeing the impact, also having the right people next to you, family, friends, that keeps me going. That keeps me going.
And for the young people of Eswatini, maybe, just skimming through, the young people of Eswatini, what are some of the challenges that you've seen and how are you hoping to address them with Umlibalo Mbili?
The greatest challenge is the fact that they don't believe in education anymore. Especially because of labo unemployment. But you don't have the job you were hoping to get. You're not as rich as you probably would. So Umlibalo Mbili now says to them, You know what? Le education akusiyo yokuthi iyokuniketa umsebenzi, but le education yokuthi ivulele ingqondo so that you can find opportunities.
Yeah.
You can be a solution to the problems that are there. Hence, we have your entrepreneurship, we have your digital skills. Konke lokho is meant lokuthi kuvulele ingqondo ubone ukuthi there is more to life than to actually say I need a job. Yeah.
And I believe that every business needs a long-term vision. But I know that you've conquered so much, but what are you hoping for the future of Umliba Loyembili entrepreneurs?
The future, Guti, in all of our 59 Tingulas, Sibe Nema community classes where we can have our young and old people, labanga kona kubane access to basic education, and also have a skill center where now they can leverage the digital entrepreneurship skills. Yeah, kakhulu ngiloko, if we can be able to do all that, the 59, then I know my work would be done on this earth. Yeah, yeah.
But ke lokunye lengifuna ukugcizelela kakhulu is the idea of exchange programs. I've seen them help or broaden people's knowledge kakhulu. How can young people become a part of these exchange programs? I'm sure you've been exposed to so many different ones, yeah. But how can they then become a part of them? And what do they need to do prior? Because exchange program ayidingi ube ngumuntu lo tihlalele nje lo gathi kusitongena internet uthi I am Thabelo Dlamini, please take me to America. There's a lot that it requires from you personally and both professionally. So how can they better upskill themselves to become maybe attractable to these exchange programs?
Well, most of them are exchange programs. I afune people that are making an impact. And inkinga yethu siyacabanga ukuthi impact itawuqhamuka seyiqhamuka. You start where you are. Lalo khona khona. Do something. Make that impact. Bring the change. Lalo khona khona. It grows. And as it grows, it then reaches the right people. But khona kukubona from there. So young people, it's not about sitting and Facebook. There's an opportunity. There's a call for applications. Kulama applications la ubafuna ukuthi ukhulume story sakho. They want to know what you've done.
Beautiful. And now I want to ask you a very difficult question. It's if you could change, one thing about how society views education, especially in rural communities, what would it be? Because we do see ukuthi mhlambe umuntu lomusha or umuntu lomncane kakhulu kenteka ukuthi amithe, and the first thing that you get from ekhaya is dropout or esikoleni bayaxosha. It doesn't even need to be ekhaya. Kusesenalo libandlululo for people who go through that challenge, which is something that unfortunately can happen to any woman or girl. How do you think such issues can be addressed in your view?
Ngicabanga ukuthi what we are trying to do as Umliba Loyembili is to actually bring down those bridges, those walls, those classroom walls, to actually say education ayendeki kuphela eklasini, education iyendeka everywhere. So I would wish to see a society lethi angeke ngize ngibanjwe ukuthi physically I cannot get to, angeke ngibanjwe ukuthi sengimdala, angeke ngibanjwe ukuthi nginemfana, angeke ngibanjwe ukuthi ngiyagula. La lengikhona khona, I can actually still get that education that everybody else can get.
Yeah. And just lastly, before we wrap up the show, if there's someone that is watching and we are a part of Umliba Loyembili, is it something that is accessible to everyone, or you handpick individuals that you feel are deserving to be a part of, your organization? Because baningi bantu labayidingako education but maybe don't have access to it. Naloya loti utelo form 5 and so funa kuba naye one way or the other. How do you work around, recruiting, or what's the criteria to be a part of Umliba Loyembili?
Okay, Umliba Loyembili is open to the public, onge emaswati. With the online school specifically, usually kuba ne-call lebakhona ukuthi okay ngiyalosikhathi some applications, because we are using the same system lesetshenziswa kweyekufundza. So kuba nesikhathi sekuthi okay, we are taking nyaloso sikhathi sema registrations. So the next registrations that are khona January, and those are open to everyone. Previously it was just women and girls. In January we are opening it to everyone, boy, child, babe, mage, koko, everyone, no age restrictions. So it's a matter of kuti ba lanzele ema pages ethu umlibalo yembili entrepreneurs, so that they are always able to get lawoma updates and know what is happening.
So if you search for umlibalo yembili, you'll definitely find it on most social media platforms.
Yes.
Okay, and lastly, what message do you have for young climbers that are watching this show, you know, who dream of making a difference but don't know where to start?
You start where you are. You cannot create change if you can't change yourself. You need to change your mind, you need to know what you want, and you need to be driven by purpose. Don't look at your friends, don't look at where you're coming from, know what you want and pursue that. Lalo kona kona nje, qala ubeng le difference, be the leader, let everybody look up to you. Then definitely you will get to where you're going.
There's only so much I can say after that. All I can say is thank you so much for making time to join us here on Young Climber. We just hope that you continue to be a beacon of hope for the young Eswatini or the old ones, you know, that are within the organization and they are still trying to pursue their education. And most importantly, for the youth who have lost hope here in Eswatini because obviously of maybe economical struggles and the issues of unemployment. But all the best for the future endeavors and all that you're doing for this country.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Babugile Makaya. That was, of course, Nomfundo Ngcamphalala. Usheto wathi nawufuna umlibalo yembili on social media. Angifuni nithi angishongo. I'll definitely put the social media handles out there so that you guys do not say you missed it one way or the other. But that is it for today's show. You know, I always want to continue with the story because it brings out so much information for the young people of Eswatini. But for today, I have to love you. I have to leave you. For myself, Belonkosi, and the rest of the team, it is good night and God bless.